Góðan daginn and welcome to the Iceland Food Centre. Today we have something quite unique. We are going to make Icelandic Bakery Style Cinnamon rolls. If you have ever been inside an Icelandic bakery, you will have seen these comically large cinnamon rolls. For an Icelander, there is nothing quite as nostalgic as having a cinnamon roll and a couple of chocolate milks to wash it down with. Now let's roll right in. You will need 300 milliliters of water, 70 grams of melted spreadable, 70 grams of sugar, 10 grams of yeast, 10 grams of salt, and 600 grams of flour. Before we do anything else, let's activate the yeast. Take the yeast and combine it well with warm water. You want the water to be about 37 degrees or 98 degrees Fahrenheit. Next, add the sugar inside and whisk together until completely dissolved. Now put it somewhere warm and let it rest for about 10 minutes or until it has bloomed like this. While you're waiting, now is a good idea to take your flour and sieve it onto the surface you're going to be using. And of course, don't forget the salt. Make a well in the middle for all of the wet ingredients. And once your yeast is ready, add that and... oh no. Oh no! Oh no! Oh well, sometimes things in life don't go exactly the way we plan them. But when that happens, the most important thing is just to continue working through the problem and eventually you'll get there. Just add the rest of the yeast and then add the melted butter, but do make sure it's not too hot. You don't want to stunt the growth of the yeast. And then just continue working the dough until eventually you have something that actually looks like dough, like this. Once the dough is ready, it is time to lay it down flat. You'll want to form a rectangle. And the thickness of the layer you're aiming for should be about 1 centimeter. Now that's been laid out nice and flat, it's time to put the cinnamon coating on the inside. This for us was a bit of a trial and error, but eventually we borrowed this idea from Tasty. Take your softened butter and cinnamon sugar, mix them up and combine them well. Once all that is completely incorporated, you're going to take and smear that on top of your rectangle. Everywhere apart from the bit where you're going to seal the roll. Take your time with this, enjoy it, spread it nice and even. Now it's time to roll it up. Keep it as tight as possible. This is going to require a bit of finessing. Do your best to try and maintain the thickness, and once you rolled it all together, make sure you end the weight on the seam. That way, it'll simply seal itself. Each roll should be about 1.5 inches or 2 fingers width. We learned that using dental floss or string would be the best way to cut these. If you're using a knife, you can squish them and destroy the shape. If you don't have dental floss, go out and get some. Everyone should floss their teeth anyway. This roll should be enough for 6 whole cinnamon rolls. Once all cut down, it's time to layer them into the pan and make sure that they have enough space to expand, because these are going to double in size. Stick them into a cold oven with the lights on. To help them proof, boil some water and put inside a heat-proof dish and place it underneath the rolls. This will help the yeast work. Leave it for about half an hour and you should be ready to start. Once they've doubled in size, take all of it out of your oven and fire it up to 210 degrees or 410 degrees Fahrenheit. Once the oven's ready, stick them in there for 6 to 7 minutes or until the surface is golden brown. Look at these beauties grow. Now the rolls are ready, but we're not quite there yet. Put them to one side and let them cool off, and we're going to make the glazing. You are going to need icing sugar and some water, maybe around 10 milliliters. Combine that well, and once ready, add in cocoa powder or any flavoring that you desire. You can add lemon or butterscotch, anything that floats your cinnamon roll boat. The glazing should be thick, but not too thick. You should be able to pour it right over. You can also add gelatin to your glazing. That will help it firm up better when it cools off and it'll be less likely to transfer. Now this should be looking pretty familiar. Let's have a quick look at a cross-section and see how it's on the inside. I would say not half bad. This is fluffy, spongy, everything you'd like from a bready dough like this. And as you could see, it is super simple to make. If you try this at home, we'd love to hear about it. And if you have any suggestions, please drop a comment down below. Thanks for watching, and as always, verði ykkur að góðu.